Secretary Wilder. We really appreciate this opportunity to be here today and to talk about the strategic plan. And now, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Imagine that efficiency. We're almost on time. So I guess my earlier comments took up your break time that was built into the schedule, right? Let's do a wrap-up. Great chemistry. Great chemistry. Great thinking. And I get the sense that we've just only scratched the surface. And as we go forth from here, there will be ample opportunity to engage other folks throughout the organization. And it will be interesting to see how we can bring other and new ideas to bear on what we're talking about. I see as one of my tasks is to help keep us focused, and I'll do my best to do that. Because when we look to actually trying to take action and move forward, it will take focus to do that. So let me share with you a couple of things that I'm hearing. One, the old adage about I'm from the government and I'm here to help you. Let me comment on that for just a minute. All my life I've been in public service, and that has meant I've been a part of bureaucracy. And this country and our culture sometimes a lot of times, that's received as a negative. And I always promote the positive. I remind people that if it weren't for the bureaucracy, how would you have roads to drive on? When you turn your faucet on, would there be any water? You flip the switch, will the power come on? Whether that bureaucracy is public or private. There are a lot of good things about bureaucracy that gives us great benefit and gives us great advantage in this country. But ideas. Brown bag lunches for divisions, a tool to help communicate, gather ideas, share information. I like the notion of graduated fines and enforcements, Mary Penny, with regard to common sense when it comes to the regulatory environment. If you have an offender out there like the guy I shared with you before, who not only violated, but he repeated and repeated again and then didn't think he should pay a fine, that's when you fine. It's the person out there that inadvertently is told, well, this is the rule. This is what you've got to pay. And it may have been that the person who inadvertently committed the violation was actually trying to do the right thing, and then he gets hit with a hammer. That's the person possibly, or individual or company, that there should be a graduated level of enforcement that would make maybe more sense. I hear clearly outreach, education, awareness. Again, in my work throughout the years, outreach has always been critical, reaching out to people. The whole process of people understanding and knowing what you're doing, that's something we've got to do, something that has to be a part of the mix. I like the notion of, okay, what is your product? We go through this exercise, we build it into our institutional culture. What's the outcome of that? And how do we communicate that? We may go through an exercise, come out with a really good product, and we don't ever say anything about it, and then there's no understanding on the part of the legislature or the governor or the public about what we've actually done. If we have something that has been done that's been successful, we need to toot that horn. I like the notion of it's a good thing. Our efforts here today, the time we spent, the resources that we have applied, it is a good thing. To talk about sustainability, about marketing. I heard that through our discussion today. How do we brand the notion of targeting the youth? Lisa, where are you, Lisa? About youth, and I'll share a story there. In the world of local government, we had the realization many years ago with the publication of textbook civics in our secondary schools. And first of all, local government in that textbook, I think, had maybe 5 or 6 pages of coverage. And for city and county managers, the analogy was it mentioned city and county managers, but it described city and county managers likened to the roles of sheriffs in the counties, which is totally inaccurate, totally incorrect. And we moaned and groaned about it, talked about how terrible it was, and nobody really understood. Then we started talking about, well, how do we change that? And then we undertook this project called Public Education for Local Government. And what we ended up with there was a specific project, and that was an education project to develop a textbook for civics programs in North Carolina. How many of you here have ever attempted to develop a textbook and then promote it and get it accepted by the Department of Public Instruction? It was a bear. It was costly. It was very expensive. But we did it. The authors of the book were from the School of Government at UNC. Great work. We ended up with a textbook that eventually got accepted through a whole lot of hard work, not only with government officials, but the public and various interest groups. You probably are aware of how many groups out there might be interested in the content of information that goes into textbooks for the schools. It was incredible. Planning technology, comprehensive nature of the planning that we have to do. I was glad to hear the notion of planning. I'll have to get accustomed to the notion of Facebook and all the rest and posting. I still to this day don't quite understand why an individual wants to put all their personal information on the internet where everybody can see it. Knowing the elements of society, some of them not so good, that will read it and then maybe act on it to take advantage of it. But anyway, the governor has a Facebook page, our department has a Facebook page in an institutional role, and I think that's a little different from the personal role, getting information out and working that way. Climate policy, the long-term nature of it. I heard from you, I think, in your discussions, what we had mentioned earlier, how climate policy and energy policy are inextricably linked. There's no way you're going to get around talking about one without the other. I like the notion of questioning buying versus managing. We see that, I think, in our highway system. And many of you remember the good road state. We have so many roads now. The major challenge is keeping them maintained, and that's a challenge in and of itself, but it does not discount the notion that we need even more, particularly as we grow. But it's a good thing to question. I like the notion of involving commerce and business and industry. Tax incentives, I think we can do a lot through tax incentives. And I know that the conservation tax credit that became an issue in the last session of the General Assembly, it ran the risk of just disappearing. And we did some work on that, and it's still in the law, and I'm grateful for that. Communicate. Very basic, very elementary. It comes forward in what we heard here today, the notion of volunteers, use of public TV. I think that's a really good idea. The notion of communicating between our divisions, communicating with our fellow colleagues. How many of us know what our friends in X division do and why? Have you ever exchanged places for a day?